and I have recently given my GMAT, and I took the course from e-GMAT as well in the month of, I think, May, if I'm not
Yes.
wrong.
Yeah.
And like it was really helpful. I was able to go through the modules, and like verbal was something which I was looking for, and I read all the reviews. I did some of my research, and I got this understanding that you can get a good verbal score uh, after 1 or 2 months of study from e-GMAT. So I took that course, and I was able to score like it as per my. Once after reading the question, I have mapped it in my mind. Okay, this is what question is asking.
Yeah.
Without going to the option part, you need to first like solve the question, and you need to get to the answer. I'm spending very less time on every RC that is coming out to me. Again,
Mm-hmm.
something which is a similar thing while attempting the MSR question.
Mm-hmm.
I was attempting an RC for a good 5-6 minutes only.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And whenever I was doing that, I was getting 2 out of 3 questions wrong, or 3 out of 3 questions wrong. I was analyzing every mock for more than 30-40 minutes. I was giving that amount of time in every mock, especially while checking the quant and DI answer. What is something that is not going well?
Mm.
Where am I spending good amount of time? In which area I need to improve?
Hello, everyone. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another debrief session with e-GMAT. Today, we have with us Anurag, who recently scored a 99th percentile with a 715 on his recent GMAT attempt. So, welcome, Anurag, and thank you for joining in.
Yeah, thanks, Ava. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so I can just give my quick introduction. So my name is Anurag, and I have done my engineering in 2018 from IIT Roorkee, and since then I was working with like two big player in the market. I was working with two big fintech firms in India, and I was planning to go for an MBA next year, and I have recently given my GMAT, and I took the course from e-GMAT as well in the month of, I think, May, if I'm not
Yes.
wrong.
Yeah.
And like it was really helpful. I was able to go through the modules, and like verbal was something which I was looking for, and I read all the reviews. I did some of my research, and I got this understanding that you can get a good verbal score uh, after 1 or 2 months of study from e-GMAT. So I took that course, and I was able to score like it as per my expectation. Aiming for 705 plus score in GMAT focus, and yeah, I got it somehow,
Yes. Yeah.
and I got the 715.
Yes, and we are glad that we could be part of your journey. So, Anurag, as we deep dive into the specifics of how
Mhm.
you improved from a 635 level to a 715 right now, uh, why don't you give us a little bit background on how you decided that you want to take GMAT and start your GMAT prep?
Okay, so let me just walk you through that. Like I was preparing for official GMAT last year, and I was able to score seven in the range of 710 to 720, somewhere between that range. But during when I was attempting for it this year, I got to know that there was a change in the exam structure, and they have included DI in the new GMAT focus exam, and they have removed some of the sections from verbal and added few sections in DI. I was like, okay, in the month of April, I decided that I need to give my GMAT in the over the course of next 2-3 months,
Hmm.
and I started my prep. I gave one mock at the very beginning of the stage. I scored pretty less, if I remember that correctly, near in the ranges of 605 to 615,
Yeah.
and the after that I realized that I need to have some kind of a prep, because I prepared last year from some of the resources that I had on verbal part and on quant part I was like really strong from the very start. So I was like, okay, I'll be able to manage that quant
Hmm.
section, but the verbal section was one thing which I was like having a difficulty with. I scored V79
Mm,
during my first exam
mm,
on GMAT Focus, which was I think 51 percentile.
mm,
So I was like, okay, need to focus on that. Then and parallelly, I was like, because DI was a new section, and I have like some sort of understanding in the DI part as well, because I have given CAT. I scored 99.7 plus in every CAT attempt in the DI section
mhm,
that I in the past. So I was really confident over that section as well. But GMAT focused DI was very different from the usual LRDI that you get in Quant,
mhm,
because the timing plays a very important role in the DI section. Plus, the question wordiness is somewhere on the higher side, but the information that they provide was very less. So you
mhm,
need to have a very high accuracy to get a good DI score, which was something I was not able to do that in the start. But because after having some practice and after having a good amount of I've given like 4 5 mocks
yeah,
before my 715 attempt. I was
mm,
able to conclude that okay, you can maximum questions that you can get wrong in DI section was not more than four. If
mhm,
you if you if you like if you are not able to put 16 plus questions right in the
yeah,
DI section, then your score will be harmed. That
yeah,
was my conclusion, and I took I analyzed my all the mocks in a very strategic manner. I was able to figure out that during the starting preparation, what I was doing was I was spending almost 6 minutes or 5 minutes over the MSR question,
mhm, mhm,
which resulted in, I think, out of those three questions that I usually get on MSR, two or three of them were getting wrong every time whenever I was attempting it.
mhm,
So it was I was not sure that why it is happening, because I was able to figure out what is written in the MSR section, but because of some kind of silly mistake, some missed detail during the passages, I was
yeah,
uh, doing it wrongly. And then I took a back step. I realized that I need to spend almost 7 to 8 minutes during the MSR question instead of 5 to 6 minutes that I was spending.
mhm,
That additional 1 or 2 minutes will give you three questions right,
mhm,
right? Which was a very basic thing to do, right? If you are
mhm,
getting by adding 1 or 2 minutes, if you are getting three questions right, then you should go for it, right?
yeah,
Because an MSR question generally, when what I have realized is like mostly everyone gets only one MSR question. So in some cases, you do get two MSR questions,
yeah,
but mostly in all the cases you get only one MSR question, and that is in the beginning of the DI section. Like
mhm,
mostly between 1 to 5, you will get your MSR question, and if you get that wrong and during the very start, your DI section will not be scored high, because you have done mistakes in the early part of the section, and if you do that again during
mhm,
your last questions, then your score will be hampered.
mhm,
So I was very sure that whatever time you have to spend on the MSR question, you need to do that. You need to be very right from the very start. I took some strategies out of it while attempting the DI section. Let me just go through one by one.
yes,
Like
I
what
think
was
that
my
should
strategy?
help. Yeah,
Yeah. So there were 20 questions, and every question approximately will get 2 minutes 15 seconds for every question attempt, right?
mhm,
I took that. Like I have gone through many interviews where people have scored DI 84 and DI 85. Well, I was
mhm,
able to figure out one thing. If everybody who has scored good was not able to uh, 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 get every question right, and
yeah,
everyone has skipped few questions, right?
mhm,
So I have given this thought. Okay, I'll do first 10 questions right. Whatever time I need to spend on those first 10 questions, I'll do it, because I need to get things right during the first 10 questions, right?
mhm,
So I was like, after 22 minutes, well, basically after 22 minutes during the 45-minute sectional time, I'll be done with first 10 questions in the DI section. Right.
mhm,
That was my back of the mind. I have this thought. Okay. Once you are done with those 10 questions, in the next 10 questions, just work on 7 questions because
Yeah.
the difficulty will be on the higher side, and you can skip 3 questions till the very end, and you can come back and you can change those answers. So
Yeah.
in the next 10 questions, you have a little bit of breathing air,
Mm-hmm.
and you can just attempt like whatever is coming. One question that I thought I need to skip every time whenever I was attempting the DI section was a non-math question
Mm-hmm.
in two-part analysis.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Basically a critical reasoning question with two fill in the blanks and lots of data. I was
Mm-hmm.
doing that, like I analyzed my mock every time I was getting one of that question, and every time I was not able to get that right
Mm-hmm.
because the information was on the heavier side. And like whenever I was getting that question, I think mostly in every mock I got that question as 17th, 18th, or 19th during the end of the exam.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
By then, I was having less than 5 minutes or so to attempt 3 questions. So I prioritized that. I was like, okay, I'll skip it. After
Yeah.
30, I'll just give it a read for 30 seconds, and if I was not able to, I'll not able to understand, I'll just skip it.
Mm.
That was one of the strategy that I think everybody should follow, because that is the most waste question in DI, as per my knowledge. Because
Mm.
again, you'll spend time. It needs 3 to 3.5 minutes to solve that question. If you are
Mm.
spending that much amount of time during your last 19, 18, 20 question when you have less time, then there is a high possibility that you will skip the last questions, or you will get penalized if you are not able to complete that section.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
20th question is relatively easier one for me, because mostly it was a graph and table question
Mm.
at the end of the exam.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, I need to prioritize that instead of me like spending a good amount of time over that question,
Mm-hmm.
the TPA
Understood.
question, TPA
Understood.
non-math question.
Yeah.
So that was like few of my strategy that
Yes.
came in at the right time.
Yeah.
Although in my final attempt in 715 attempt, I scored DI 83.
Yes.
I got 8 DS questions, out of which I was not able to score as per my knowledge, because whenever I was giving the exam, I was not able to score 1 DS question in every attempt. But during my
Mm.
final time, I was able to score 5 out of 8 DS question right.
Mm-hmm.
So I did 3 mistakes in DS questions,
Mm.
and one question was TPA one that I told you. I just
Yeah.
spent 30 seconds. I was like, no, I will not be able to figure this out in the
Yeah.
next 3 minutes. Let's just skip it.
Yes. Yes.
And I did 16 out of 20. 16 out of 20 questions were right in the DI section,
Mm-hmm.
and then I moved to Quant.
Mm.
Like I don't have much to say about Quant because I was very sure that I'll score good during my even during my mocks. I was able to get 20 out of 21 questions right in most of the attempt.
Mm-hmm.
One or two silly mistake was happening in each and every exam. I prepared myself for the final day. I was like, okay, if at all I am stuck at one question, I'll move
Yeah.
on and I'll come back to that particular question, because Quant gives no space in GMAT focus. If you are just getting one question wrong,
Mm.
GMAT focus will heavily penalize you over that one
Yes.
wrong answer
Yes. Yes.
in
Yeah.
Quant. So I was like, okay, if you have to score 705 plus, you need to score Q90 anyhow.
Mm. Yeah.
That is something that everybody is doing. You need to figure out how you will do it,
Yeah.
right? So
Yes.
yeah, yes,
Uh,
yes.
Anurag, I was thinking, like, I was looking into your stats also, right? And,
Okay.
overall, when we talk about your accuracy and your timing, this is just a number property graph in front of us. And we can see that you
Hmm.
were already hitting the 91st person
Yeah.
accuracy by the end of it, right?
Yes,
Now,
yes.
achieved a Q90, what do you think are the key skills that with respect to the
Hmm.
timing you spoke in DI, and that was
Hmm.
very beautifully put because time management is something that people really struggle in DI. So I'm sure
Yes.
your strategies are going to help a lot of
Yeah.
students out there. Now, talking about Quant achieving that Q90, what are the
Hmm.
key skills that one must keep in mind so that they can avoid, the mistakes and make sure that they are able to, perform to their full potential?
Got it. So one key thing that I did was
Hmm.
once after reading the question, I have mapped it in my mind. Okay, this is what question is asking.
Yeah.
Without going to the option part, you need to first like solve the question and you need to get to the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to the answer, then you go and check whether that answer is available in that option or not.
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is not there, then you did a silly mistake, or like you have to redo that again, right? But what gives you what I want to tell you is, after reading the question, if I directly jump to the solving part instead of going to the option part, I have something in my brain and I was able to figure out what the question is asking, or I maybe I have made a silly mistake while having that understanding during solving that question.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to figure out that part, and once I get the answer, I like I without even going to the option part, I again read the uh, question whether
Mm-hmm.
my understanding was right or not,
Yeah.
and whether after that understanding I got the right answer or not. So that
Okay.
was my key learning to avoid silly mistake,
Mm-hmm.
because quant questions are generally very easy on GMAT focus when you compare that with any other exam. But the point is, some of the questions are that easy that you will easily fall into a trap. Let's say they're asking I can give one example. Uh, they can ask, okay, this the tell us which of the routes are not possible, something of that sort. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of you and you have this thing in your mind, you are while solving the question, you are taking out the root of that particular equation and you will mark it the first option you get, because that is what you have solved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're asking what root is not an option, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in that particular instance, you need to understand what you need to do right to get that question right,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So sometimes these kind of silly mistakes get you penalized in uh, quant section, and you get 87, 88. In my last attempt, which I gave 2 weeks back, I
Yeah.
scored Q88.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I remember that there was one question. I scored 20 out of 21, and there was one question. I think the question number was fourth. So during
Mm-hmm.
the very initial state, I marked that answer wrong, and when I checked my ESR, I just took 30 seconds to mark that question
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, at that point of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if I am taking only 30 seconds to mark that question right. That question was easy. The only
Mm-hmm.
thing that I did wrong was some kind of silly mistake while reading out the question loud. So I
Mm-hmm.
think if you really want to score Q90, you just need to read your question twice, one
Yeah.
before solving it, one after solving it, so that
Mm-hmm.
you have that understanding. Okay, whatever I have done is right, and you can mark the right answer, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
wherever you are stuck, just mark it and come back, because in quant you'll definitely get time.
Yes.
You'll get
Yes.
10-15 minutes in the end. I was able to do quant in 30 to 35 minutes every time whenever I was attempting it. But during my final day, I I have this mental state that I need to score good. So
Mm-hmm.
I took every question very slowly,
Mm-hmm.
because timing was not an issue in
Mm-hmm.
quant, but accuracy is.
Yeah.
So that was
Right.
the learning, and I changed one of the answer during my final exam as well, because I again I was able to figure out the question. I was able to figure out a solution, and because of the option, I got confused,
Mm-hmm.
and I marked the wrong answer there. But I bookmarked it. I came back. Read that question again. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, shit, what a blunder I was doing, and I
Yeah.
changed it and marked the right question and moved on.
Good for you.
So
Good for you.
yeah,
Because at the
that is
end, your perfect score makes all the more things more
yes,
beautiful,
definitely.
right?
If you want to score 705 plus, you
Yes.
need to have a Q90 is what my learning was.
Hmm. Talking about now the big concern area, right?
Yeah.
The verbal part. That's what,
Yes.
you started your journey. You identified that this was an area that needed
Mm,
a sense of maybe strategy, improvement,
yes.
right? So why don't you walk us through what were the loopholes that you could identify in your
Hmm.
verbal and what were the skills that helped you improve? Because at this
Hmm.
point, you are sitting at a V84,
Yeah.
right? A 90th percentile, which is a great score for verbal, someone who was hesitant to start with verbal, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you walk us through your verbal journey?
Okay. So, as I mentioned again, whenever I was preparing for GMAT, the most difficult area that I thought for me was verbal,
Mm,
and I think it is the same for every engineer in India, I guess, because I have like so many friends. Everybody was struggling with the verbal part, but there are few things that I did right, I guess, because of which I was able to score 84 on the final day. I started with like CR was something which I was fine with
mm,
CR when compared if I do the comparison between CR and RC, I think when I started my preparation, CR was better,
mm,
but during the end of my preparation, I think I was doing better in RC as compared to CR
mhm,
questions.
mhm,
Like I firstly I have like I had a recent I think at that point of time I was connecting with you as well. I
mm,
think on the week during the weekend over like how to go about it and how to just use the resources that are available on e-GMAT portal. Uh, CR was one area where you can categorize uh, different sections. Like
yeah,
there is a weaker question, there is a strongly agree question, then there is a boldface question, then there is
yeah,
a fill in the blank question, there is a
mhm,
paradox question, all of
yeah,
that.
yeah,
During the start,
mm,
uh, I figured out one thing when I was going through the assessment and
mhm,
when I was going through the videos that is present on uh, e-GMAT portal, I was able to score good in
mm,
weaker questions, assumption questions, stronger questions, all of that. But I was
mm,
not able to score good in bold-face questions, in
mhm,
fill-in-the-blanks question, which I think is the most difficult one. Even the
yeah,
evaluate and paradox question was something I was very fine attempting with, but bold-face was one thing which I was like, okay, I need to
yes,
get these questions right in order to get a good verbal score.
mhm,
Thankfully, I didn't get any bold-faced question in my final attempt,
mhm,
but there were two fill-in-the-blanks question that I really got in the end, uh, because of which I was not able to score higher.
mhm,
Uh, because sometimes like there were few strategies I think that helped me a lot like attempting those questions and uh, but my CR went from my accuracy was at the very start was 60 to 50%
mm,
in the CR section and it went to 80% in my final attempt,
mm,
70 or to 80% in my final attempt. I was able to score 7 or 8 out of 10 every time whenever I was attempting the any mock
mm,
which is available online. So I think bold play was one area where I have improved.
mm,
Assumption question is one area where I have improved. Paradox question, uh, and I think those were the section where I have improved the most. I was
mm,
able to score right in every paradox question that I was getting
mhm,
in the very uh, end. And even the weaker question, even the stronger question was something I was okay with. The
mhm,
only question that I was not okay with was boldface.
mhm,
And
okay,
even in boldface, I was able to improve.
mm,
Definitely, like you guys have some kind of strategies how to like link two bold statements and if they are complementing each other and if they both are complementing to the conclusion.
yeah,
Conclusion is very important while checking and attempting the bold-faced question. So
mhm,
I was able to figure out some strategies where I was able to score in at least the medium question, but I was still struggling in the hard question because I think in verbal you will have some kind of mistakes because the verbal section will get less than 2 minutes for every question. You have less than 2 minutes,
mhm,
so pressure is there. Everything was there, but I was able to score well during the exam. But if I was giving any kind of mock without any time limit, I
yeah,
was my accuracy was a little higher, even in boldface question. So e-GMAT has done an excellent job while preparing the English module
mhm,
that I can definitely vouch for.
mhm.
Uh, when I was like preparing, I think you guys didn't have those sectional tests which you guys have added recently.
Yes, we have introduced
Uh,
them now. Yes.
yeah, So I think that was something that if I would have gotten that in my preparation time as well, would have helped me a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, overall the product is amazing. And this was my CR part.
Mm-hmm.
My major improvement area was in RC.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was not able to score well in RC. Let me be very honest there.
Mm-hmm.
Like even after attempting so many RCs, I was not able to figure out like how to attempt those because the questions
Mm-hmm.
were easy. Whenever I was getting stuck between two questions,
Mm-hmm.
right? Two
Two
options,
answer
sorry.
choices. Yeah.
Yeah, two answer choices. I was getting stuck between that. But yeah, again, I have gone through the module again and again. Like on
Mm-hmm.
e-GMAT module, I think I've gone through the module 3, 4 times to
Mm-hmm.
understand what is something that I was lagging.
Mm-hmm.
And I got this understanding. Like there were 3, 4 learnings I can tell you about that.
Yeah.
So first learning was I'm spending very less time on every RC that is coming out to me. Again,
Mm-hmm.
something which is a similar thing while attempting the MSR question.
Mm-hmm.
I was attempting an RC for a good 5, 6 minutes only.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And whenever I was doing that, I was getting 2 out of 3 questions wrong or 3 out of 3 questions wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was like, no, this has to stop.
Yeah.
I again have this thing in my back of the mind. You need to give 2 additional minutes while reading the RC.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can do is you can save 30 seconds on every question then,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get a better accuracy over those questions.
Mm-hmm.
The moment I started doing that, I saw a jump in the accuracy as well. If I remember that correctly, whenever I was giving any mock, out of 14 question or 13 question that I was getting over the mocks, I was able to score 5 or 6 right.
Mm-hmm.
But when I changed this and I've increased, I think 5, 6 minutes over the four essay combined. If you combine them, I have increased my timing by 5, 6 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to score 10 out of 13 or 11 out of 13 questions right.
Mm-hmm.
Even in my final exam, I got 10 out of 13 questions right. And my last passage, I remember that I have gone through that ESR as well. I had like 11 minutes while attempting the last 7 questions,
Mm-hmm.
and I got one RC. My like longest RC was the last one, which I got when I was left with 11 minutes. I took 5 minutes to read that RC because I knew that this RC will be followed by 4 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever you get a longer RC, there is a high possibility that those RC will have 4 questions instead of 3 questions. So out of 7 questions, 4 of them will be from this RC. So I need to give that time. And I was able to spend 30 seconds over each and every question after that,
Mm-hmm.
and I got four on four right, right,
Yeah.
and I was left with I took 7 to 8 minutes, 7.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I was left with 3.5 minutes for the last 3 questions.
Mm-hmm.
I got a very long CR question after that to fill in the blanks. I was like, no, this I'll not attempt this because मुझे पता था कि I'll not be able to score.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, fill in the blank question was a weaker part. I have identified in my preparation, and I just randomly marked the answer and I moved on.
Okay.
Again, I got a very long CR question again, and I was
Yeah.
like, shit, what should I do now? I took 30 to 1 minute over that. I spent that amount of time over that question. I was confused between two options. I was able to eliminate one of that, but again, when I checked my final ESR, that answer choice was wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and I moved to the last question where I was left with I think 2.5 minutes. But the question was easy, and I was able to get the right answer. So
Great.
in a way, I
Yeah.
was able to score 5 out of 7
Mm-hmm.
during my last 7 questions, even with 11 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty happy, and I took this as a learning that you need to spend quality time over while reading the essay to get all your answers right. And
Yes.
during my first 3 passage, I got one each wrong in every passage. I scored 2 out of 3. Uh, but it was okay because some mistakes will definitely happen during the exam, and it was a calculative thing that I spent almost 30 minutes over the essay essay
Mm.
part, and I was able to only spend 15 minutes for the CR section, 15
Mm.
to 18 minutes over the CR section, and 27 to 30 minutes over the RC section.
Passages.
So
Yeah.
yes, because you need to get the accuracy right in the reading comprehensions to get a very high score.
Mm.
That is something that I have figured out. And once you get that understanding and mapping in your mind, you will be able to score 3 out of 3 or 4 out of 4 easily.
Yeah.
Instead of you spending, you will spend 8 to 9 minutes over 4 CR questions. You will get that the possibility of you getting that right will vary because there are like more number of different sectional question that you can get in RC. Maybe you can get an assumption, maybe you can get in boldface.
Mm-hmm.
Every question has a different mindset, but in RC, every question is linked to the RC passage, and you can easily score well. So that was my learning, and again, I think that was the game changer. And even while going through the module, I was able to eliminate some extreme choices.
Mm.
Was able to eliminate some of the plays a very important role while attempting the RC question,
Mm.
because mostly everything will be confusing. Every answer detail, some part of the answer detail will be present in the RC, so you can
Mm.
get a good amount of confusion while attempting an RC question. But you need to eliminate basis on some word or some additional line that is out of scope of the RC that you have just read.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to eliminate three choices very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was stuck between those two choices. Uh, Wherever I was stuck between two choices, I look out for that detail which is missing in one part of it and which is present in other part of it.
Mm.
Right? I was very strong in inference question, but these are some questions where every detail is present in the passage. You just need to get that thing right.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to figure that out while my final preparation, and I was getting a good score while attempting the mocks as well. Like even in my 675 GMAT attempt, I got V81, which is not that great, but because of easy questions, I think I have scored back. The GMAT focus has penalized me, and
Mm.
even after getting 16 out of 23 right, I got 81 only in that
Mm.
particular attempt.
Yeah.
But when I attempted a difficult verbal, because my Q90 was there, I attempted my verbal section at the last.
Yeah.
I was able to get a good score
Mm-hmm.
even in the verbal section with, I
Yes.
think, 17 out of 23 were right,
Mm-hmm.
out of which out of those six questions that went wrong, two questions I got wrong because I was not left with any time. But even after that, I was able to score uh, quite well.
Okay.
So my advice, like to whoever is giving the GMAT focus exam, is to just get yourself prepared for the RCs well,
Mm.
and spend good time on it so that your accuracy will not be hampered and your score will not be hampered. So
Yeah.
that is my learning, and that is something I can uh,
That
give it
worked
to
for you.
everyone who's at home. Yeah,
Yes.
that worked
Yes.
for me.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that is like like even some of my friends are also giving the exam. They were not able
Mm.
to score well,
Mm-hmm.
and I have discussed this strategy with them as well. Even they have started scoring well in that particular area,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they are giving GMAT in the next 2 3 weeks. So maybe I am hopeful that they will get a good score.
Great.
So
Great.
yeah,
Great.
these
Great.
are the learning areas for me in every section
Yes.
that is there. Yeah,
Yeah. So, Anurag, constantly while you were talking about the verbal section, right? You were like,
yeah.
I was able to identify this pattern, I was able to identify this mistake, and then
Mm.
you were able to work on it. So,
Yeah.
were you maintaining error logs during your journey or notes that helped you identify
Okay.
these mistakes? How were you
Okay.
going about the strategic review that made a difference for you?
Got it. So let me be very honest here. I don't maintain any kind of logs at all. Error logs is something like that takes time. I was having my job as well, so I didn't get that amount of time where I can maintain those logs.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was doing is, I was going through lots of years, and I was reading about what have worked for different students. Right. I
Mm-hmm.
was like going through the interviews of whoever has gotten a good score in verbal section, and I was able to figure out that you need to attempt a tougher verbal section to get a higher verbal score with good
Mm.
accuracy, right?
Yeah.
That is something that is GMAT focus is all about accuracy, is what I believe, and that is how I planned my sectional uh, section, like planned my section during my final exam as well,
Mm.
because uh, in my earlier attempt, I was giving quant at the very start, then DI, and then I was attempting verbal. Uh, like, and I think this is the data that I can definitely vouch for. And whoever uh, is from engineering background, at least, I can tell you one thing: the best sectional strategy while on the exam is attempt DI first, then go to quant, and then go to verbal.
Mm-hmm.
Don't change this particular pattern. I have done a good amount of research and it went well for me. I can tell you why.
Yeah.
So on DI, let's talk about quant first.
Mm.
On quant, everybody, if you attempt quant at the very start, the quant is is on the easier side.
Mm-hmm.
I think the GMAT uh, focus, my understanding is they start at a very basic level and they increase that level once you are familiar with it and once you are doing everything right.
Mm-hmm.
So you will get an easier question at the very start of the exam, and by the end of first section, you will be able to. If you are doing quant first, and if you are an engineer, at least that I can talk about, you will be able to like complete that quant section within 30 minutes or maybe
Mm.
even under 25 minutes, and you have good sufficient 20 to 15 minutes left with you to go and check your answers. Every question you can do a recheck for
Mm.
sure. That was
Mm.
happening. I was doing that. I was able to like get everything right
Mm.
in just 25 to 30 minutes, and then I was doing my verbal, my DI section.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get a Q90 or even Q88 or even Q87, the exam knows that you can they can give you a tougher DI section,
Yeah.
right? Once you start that tougher DI section, the DI section is something where time plays a very important role,
Mm.
and even with an easier section, you'll not be able to complete everything that is present in DI part.
Mm.
So even with a higher difficulty DI section, you'll not be able to complete that part. Right, that was my learning. And whenever I was attempting quant first and DI as my second section, I was able to score 80, 81, or 82.
Mm-hmm.
In one exam, I was not able to complete my final test. I just randomly marked last six question of the exam in under 1 minute. I
Mm-hmm.
was able to get 14 right at the very start,
Mm.
but I was not able to complete the exam.
Mm.
uh, and I got 81, DI 81, because all my last six questions were wrong.
Unattended. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it was not attempted, but I just randomly marked and guessed.
Okay.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm.
I just wanted to check if that even that happens, what is the score that they will give me.
Mm.
So my I think accuracy was good, but I was not able to complete.
Mm.
Uh, so with uh, a less difficulty level in DI, you will be able to achieve a good score. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to have your DI section first, score good, and even with a tougher quant, you will still be left with 20 because you have 20 spare minute while attempting the easier section. You can still use that time,
Mm.
additional 15, just take additional 15 minutes and you will still be able to score Q90. Even with a
Mm.
higher level of difficulty in quant, everyone who gets Q90 can get a same Q90 with a higher difficulty under 40 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
that was my learning. You can attempt a higher difficulty level of quant, but you cannot uh, just take this randomization while attempting the DI section.
Mm.
So things get pretty harsh in the DI section. So you need to give your DI section at the very start so that you start with the easier question. Your time left for the last 10 questions will be sufficient enough to get you a good DI 83, 84 score. And
Yeah.
attempt the verbal section after a sectional break,
Mm-hmm.
which I take every time whenever I was attempting the uh, QA section.
Mm.
Sorry, quant section. Whenever I was done with it,
Mm.
I took that 10-minute sectional break,
Mm.
uh, and I take that time into consideration. Okay, my exam is going well. I just need to concentrate in during the verbal section. I can score good because I
Mm-hmm.
know I have the knowledge. It's just sometimes you need to just prepare yourself to attempt that section first, right? So
Yep.
whenever I was doing that, I was taking a break after my quant section. Then with a fresh mindset, I attempt my verbal section,
Mm-hmm.
and if again, because I have done everything right, my DI section get got a very high score, then my quant section got a very high score. Chances are that your difficulty level in quant will be on the higher side, and even if you get that wrong, even at the start of the exam, you still be able to score good because GMAT focus will not penalize you for attempting a harder question when it comes to when compared with the easier one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was my learning for the exam strategy, and I think I have gone through many ESR and I've gone through many interviews as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is the major thing that helped me while
Yeah.
attempting my final exam. Also, there is one more thing I would like to mention. You can like give your exam at home and at center both. I
Yes.
was giving my exam at home, where I scored 675, and the earlier one where I scored 615.
Mm.
Uh, I was not able to do good because there was so many noises that is coming from every angle possible. Because you
Mm.
are at home, you cannot use anything. There is one person who is completely watching you,
Mm.
and like in my 675 attempt, I was not able to start my exam in the first 10-15 minutes of the time. I was not able to install that application which GMAT asks for.
Yeah.
So I got a little anxiety at the very
Yeah.
start of the exam where, okay, what is happening? Uh, so these things can happen, and again, with noises coming from everywhere, your concentration is something that get distracted, and and I think that is the most important thing while attempting the DI and verbal section. I can still easily attempt the quant section, but I was getting distracted because of noises and random noises coming from everywhere.
Mm.
But while like giving the center exam, I booked the center exam in my last attempt, and I was able to score good because they give you a good noise cancelling
Mm.
headphones where you can only concentrate on your screen. So that was the game changing thing, in my opinion. And
Mm.
whoever is giving out the exam, maybe you can try giving one exam while from home and then taking an exam from the center.
Yeah.
But you'll definitely score well
Mm.
or high during the center exam is what my understanding is. One of my friend had a different or opposite view because he told me that he gets anxious while attempting an exam from the center, so it's better for her to just attempt that from home. But
Mm.
in my understanding, you need to give that exam over the center because you get noise cancelling headphones, and you your concentration uh, will be better, is
Yep.
what I can say.
Yeah. So, Anurag, I think all the tips and strategies that you provided in the session today are going to be very, very effective for a lot of students out there. So,
Sure.
let's talk about the mock phase, right? You've
Okay.
given a
Yeah.
good number and you've given a couple of mocks. Initially,
Mm.
the mocks had a little bit of a tremble as well. All the mocks
Yes.
were not going as planned. But by the end of it, in the official mocks, you were able to hit consistently your target scores as well,
Mm.
right? So, why don't you walk us through your mock
Got it.
pathway and what
Mm.
were the patterns and changes that you did that made it
Mm.
effective and you could replicate that on the test as well?
Okay, got it. So as I mentioned that you need to attempt a easier level of DI and like slightly higher level of quant while attempting the mocks. So for that, you need to first give DI and then you can move to quant.
Mm,
But while my initial yeah, mocks, what I was doing was I was attempting my quant first and then I was going to the DI part.
mm,
Even with that, I was not able to score Q90 because of one or two silly mistake, and I was getting an easier DI than expected in my uh, as my second section. And I was doing that without any kind of strategy, like how to go about it. So I just learned this over time while attempting so many mocks. I was trying out different kind of strategy. I was analyzing every mock for more than 30-40 minutes. I was giving that amount of time in every mock, especially while checking the quant and DI answer. What is something that is not going well?
Mm.
Where am I spending good amount of time? In which area I need to improve? All of that was something I was really concerned with, and after every mock, I think I took 30-40 additional minutes just to analyze the mock.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and again, once I was giving, there are some mocks where I was scoring very high. There were some mocks where I was scoring very less. The only difference that I got to know was the timing at which I was giving those mocks, in which I scored less.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was not from the fresh mindset. I was just coming from a 10-day 10 hours office, and I had my dinner, and then I was sitting for a mock from
Yeah.
10 p.m. to 1 a.m. in the night.
Mm.
And like even after that, while at your uh, like peak time, uh, I was able to do everything in quant, but again, as I was doing verbal section in the last, I was not able to concentrate, but because by 1 a.m. you get little sleepy and all of that. So that thing, I think I can say you need to. I think a light went off.
Mm.
But you can say you can definitely avoid that. Start giving your mock at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I booked my last exam from 6:45 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. because that was the only time I was getting,
Mm.
and I started giving mock during that time only.
Mm.
Just one week before the exam and 1 day before the exam.
Mm-hmm.
Although I scored very bad 1 day before the exam, like I scored 635 uh, because I just blundered my verbal
Mm.
because I was doing that 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. wala attempt.
Mm-hmm.
And I scored badly there. But I was like, okay, this happened just because I was sleepy and nothing other than that. Because I
Yeah.
was able to score only, I think, 8 out of 23 questions were right.
Mm-hmm.
So my accuracy was pretty bad, and I was not happy with that. But
Mm.
I just took 30-40 minutes to analyze the mock. I was like, okay, I was
Yeah.
not concentrated as such, and my accuracy in RC was something which was concerning because I was not able to understand what the RC is saying.
Mm.
And there were few areas. Again, I just got uh, this learning as well. There were a few RCs which were difficult for me.
Mm.
The art specific RCs were the most difficult one for me. Art
Mm.
specific ho gaya, then uh, there are a few RCs on history. Those
Mm.
were some RCs which were like, okay, I'll not be able to score well. So I started uh, going through some history topics
Mm-hmm.
uh, over YouTube just to get a better understanding of how the history has played, and mostly the history from US and some of the history from, I think, Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Those were some areas I was able to map that. I think
Mm.
it can help many people as well because I'm not a very active reader, I can say. But
Mm.
this is something that can really help you to get a better understanding of the history, what has happened in the past. You'll get a better idea after having that information in your mind.
Good.
That is not, I think that is something that is not very helpful
Mm.
while attempting the CAT, but this is really helpful while attempting the GMAT focus, is what I can say,
Understood.
to have a better understanding of the history.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. Plus, in mock, let's come back to the mock part. Uh, I was analyzing each and every detail of the mock,
Mm.
whether it is DI section, whether it is verbal section, whether it is quant section. In quant, I discounts every time I score bad. So I was like, okay, I did one a silly mistake. I'll not do it in my final exam. So I was discounting that again while coming to DI. Uh, I was checking what is not working out for me, what works best out for me.
Mm.
Whenever I was getting two MSR on the same exam, as I was not able to score well.
Mm,
because I was spending, I told you, I was spending 8 to 9 minutes over the MSR question just to
mm,
get everything right.
mm.
And if I get two MSR question in the same exam, I'll spend 18 minutes over those six questions, which can give me less amount of time for all the questions left. So I had one strategy as well planned for the final day if that happens. That
Mm,
I will skip one or two lengthy ones in the MSR section and will attempt the rest of it.
y- yeah.
So I have a backup strategy, but like in my final exam, I got only one MSR question,
Mm,
just for that matter.
yeah.
And again, in D, like I was very sure again in DI while attempting the math question versus while attempting the non-math question.
Mm,
Uh, in even in math question, sometimes in DS you will not be able to answer,
mm-hmm,
right? So you need to
mm,
skip that. That is something that is very helpful while attempting the DI question,
mm-hmm,
because whenever you are taking more than 3 minutes, no, there is a high possibility that you are not able to crack that question, and you'll definitely get that answer wrong.
mm,
So I took this learning. I was like, okay, I'll come back, I'll mark, and I'll not take any question as such. Like there are some questions which is very close to me, and I was like, I need to score good in those questions.
yeah.
In the final day, like the DS question I was mentioning, I'm very good at DS question, data
Yeah.
sufficiency question, but in my final attempt, I was not able to figure out. I think two of the DS question, and I marked it, and I went along
Mm,
because if you spend more time in DI now, you'll never be able to complete the test and your
yes.
score will be penalized for sure.
Yeah.
So attempt your DI section first, then quant, then verbal. Uh, uh, Take out one area in DI section where you need just definitely need to skip that answer. For me, it was a two-part analysis, non-math question, which is like big in length and confusing somehow. And again, arrangement questions looks difficult to solve, but mostly in GMAT it is on the easier side. So just don't
Mm-hmm,
get that wrong. MSR question you need to spend good time whatever it is taking, but you need to get every three on three right. In DS
yeah.
question sometimes the difficulty gets very high, so maybe you can skip it. But in the easier part of it, you need to score well.
Yeah.
So these are some things that I can definitely say you should analyze while attempting the mock.
Yeah.
Don't get your graphs and table question wrong because
Mm-hmm,
those are the most easier ones,
mm-hmm,
right? And the graphs in GMAT focus is very easy. I don't know why I was doing those silly mistakes while attempting my initial mocks, but those were very silly.
yeah.
You just need to like just read through the graph and you'll get the answer. It is that easy on GMAT. So you
Yes.
need to get graph interpretation question right, table question right, MSR question right. The
Mm-hmm,
only mistake that you can afford in GMAT DI is data sufficiency or the two-part analysis. For me, TPA non-math question is something I figured out I'll not be able to score good in 2 minutes. You'll be able to score good if you get 5 minutes, but you need to prepare your brain. If you are not able to figure out within 1 minute, you need to skip that.
mm.
You can come back. No, if you have time, you can come back and
You can
you
always
can attempt
bookmark.
it. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
just leave it.
Yeah.
Just leave any data sufficiency or DPA question which is lengthier in size, and and I think I remember one more thing. Uh, while attempting I bought mock 3 and 4 from mba.com, and I attempted mock 4 just before the one day before the exam when I was attempting my 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. wala shift mein mock. Uh, I got one questions exactly same in my final DA exam,
Mm.
which I was
Okay.
able to mark it within 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a possibility that if you attempt your mocks well, maybe you can get one or two questions from it
Mm.
in content section. The question was exactly the same. I remember that answer. I marked it, and it saved me a 3 minute job.
I think
It
you
was a
got a bit
lengthier.
lucky there. Yes.
Yeah, I got a bit lucky there, but uh, may, by attempting the mock, I think it makes more sense to just analyze the mock very really well. Even
Mm,
your questions where you have gone right, I remember that question because I spent 5 minutes one day before the exam over that particular question. So I was very curious, like what has happened in that question where I spent 5 minutes over it.
mm.
So that curiosity got um, lucky, and I got that answer right in my
Yeah.
final exam. I was able to say 3 minutes basically.
Yes, yes. So, Anurag, when you look back at your journey, because it's been a while that you started your prep,
Yeah.
and now since you have achieved your target score, when you look back at your journey, what would be the key takeaways that you would like to give away for the other GMAT test takers?
Okay. Uh, like prepare your section well.
Mm,
Just have this understanding. Like people don't know. Like if you want to score 705 plus or whatever your target score is, GMAT focus has a very like out of those 270 scores, no, in three section, 90, 90, 90 each, every score has linked to your final GMAT score,
mm,
right? So if you are scoring 253 out of 270, your score will be 695.
mm,
Or if you are scoring 252 into out of 270, your score will be 695. People don't know that.
mm.
That like my score was 257 when combined with the sectional sum, basically I'm talking
Yes,
about.
verbal quants DI score.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So and if you let's compare, if you are aiming for 255, which is 705, the easier part is get 85 in every section. But 85 in every section is convert to different percentile, converts to a very
Yes.
different percentile. Like if you want to get Q9 85, you can get that in 20 out of 21 question, but the additional 5 marks you can just get by attempting one question. So you
Mm,
need to prepare your accuracy in quant. Again, in DI, you can get 3 questions wrong or 2 questions wrong to get a DI 85, which is very difficult.
mm,
And if you get that part, again, accuracy plays very important role here. But in quant, you have that leverage that you can get five. Sorry, in verbal, you can get 5 or 6 questions wrong, and even after that, you can get 85.
mm,
Right. So accuracy in DI and quant is something that you need to maintain,
mm,
and you need to like keep on tracking what is working out for you or what is not. I think instead of maintaining an error log in DI and quant specifically, you can just try out different modules, different things to get a good understanding what is working well for you and what is not.
mm,
And while preparing for the verbal section, I've heard that error log plays a very important role, but I didn't have the time, so I didn't maintain it. But back of the mind, I was keeping a check, not with the
yeah.
analog, but back of the mind, I was having this idea. Okay, bold plays and fill in the blanks questions are difficult for me, even in RC. If I'm getting like I have few strategy designed for that. If an RC question has more than 3 lines in the final exam, and all the options have more than 2 lines, I'll skip it,
Mm,
because those are some concerning areas, those are some confusing areas which you need to avoid while having that exam attempted. Don't get too emotional while attempting one type of question where your accuracy is very high and that is very close to your heart. You need to skip that. That
mm,
question is lengthy. The exam uh, gives you 45 minutes in every section. You need to complete everything under 45 minutes.
mm.
You need to do that. So in order to
Yes.
do that, accuracy, you need to skip few questions, and that is okay. I
Yeah.
think people don't do that, and they spend like in my 615 attempt, I spent 11 minutes on one quant question.
Mm,
11 minutes.
mm,
Now, if I look back to that particular attempt, I was like, okay, whatever I have done in that exam, I got that right, but
mm,
because of which my question, which I went along with after that, got into trouble, and I made a mistake because I spent 11 minutes. I was like, okay, shit. I need to do
mm,
that quickly. And while doing that quickly, I got that wrong.
mm.
So analyzing the mock is something that everybody needs to do, and that is why they have given that kind of a, like, even MBA.com gives you that leverage. They release your ESR so that you can analyze your mock and you can improve well if you are giving an reattempt. So
Yes.
just analyze the mock, have a better accuracy
Hmm.
in DI and quant, because you can't afford a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
And just according to your target score, just have this particular mindset. Like, I have this mindset that I need to score 705. For that, I need to score 255 out of 270. For that, I discounted 90 for quants. So I was left with 165 in DI plus verbal.
Mm.
Uh, I was maintaining a verbal 82, 81, 83. So I was like, okay, I need to score good in DI. I
Mm.
need at least 83 to 84 in DI to get a 705.
Mm-hmm.
So I, back of the mind, those calculations were always there, and you again need to understand how many questions you can get wrong while attempting those final sections
Mm.
in order to get your desired score.
Yes.
You need to have a desired score for every section instead
Yeah.
of having a desired score on total.
Yeah. The overall
So
score, you need to
yeah,
have that
yeah.
exact number what you're aiming for each of the sections.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And to get to that score, how many mistakes you can afford is something that, again, it is very subjective, but
Mm.
it will give you a rough idea. Okay, even if I do bad in 3 or 4 questions, my score will not be hampered because my accuracy is. You
Mm.
need to have that clarity.
Mm.
Well, like, I can give you one example where, while attempting my verbal question, like I mentioned that, like, last 3 questions were very lengthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I saw those questions, I somehow had this understanding, okay, because I'm doing everything right,
Mm.
maybe I'm getting a higher difficulty level question. And back of the mind, I was like, I need to skip this,
Mm.
because even during the end, if I miss out of one question or one easier question, uh, I'll score less, right? So even in those 3 questions, if I went along with that particular question, I wrongly marked it.
Mm.
I would have wrongly marked it, and my last question was an easier one.
Mm.
Uh, I will not be left with that particular time in order to attempt get that right, and I'll score bad. So those are few things I think everybody needs to analyze, and I have, like, attempted more than 8, 9 mocks
Yeah.
in order to get this understanding. And every mock has a different learning,
Mm.
right? So, uh, if I have to summarize it, like, I think it will work best for everyone. I just have this feeling that
Mm.
attempt DI first, then quant, then verbal.
Mm.
Uh, just try it out once. Maybe that can work for you. Attempt a easier level DI, attempt a slightly high difficulty level quant, and attempt a very hard verbal
Mm.
in order to get things right. Because in verbal, no, I think if you get that question right,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what the difficulty level of that question is, you'll get that question right. And if you don't get that question understanding right in that particular question, you'll get that question wrong.
Mm.
I think difficulty does not matter while coming to verbal. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it is the case with me, but it generally doesn't matter if you get that understanding right, because
Mm.
verbal is something very subjective, even while attempting the question. But it gives you, like, even while attempting the question in e-GMAT, no, I have observed one thing, like, every question you give, like, how many people have gotten this right and how many people have
Yes.
gotten this wrong.
Mm.
In some of the easier and medium difficulty level question, according to you, that question is of medium and easy difficulty level, but in final opinion, people, 90% of the people have marked the wrong answer to it.
Mm.
Okay. So, like, it is very subjective while coming to an verbal question, which is difficult and which is not. So I think you can attempt a higher difficulty verbal. Even if you get some questions wrong, you'll not be penalized. If you like attempt an easier verbal question, is, in my opinion, is what I can say. And
Yeah.
because the accuracy is very important while in DI and quant, you
Mm-hmm.
need to attempt that with a fresh mindset and at the very start is what I can tell you.
Yes.
The easiest one is Quant for everyone. It is an easier section because you can even if you are not from an engineering background, you can prepare yourself well to get a Q90 or Q87, Q88 because the questions are very easy. It's just
Mm-hmm.
you need to avoid silly mistake and you can get a Q90 very easily. Is what I can say.
Got it. Got it. I think you summarized it pretty well, Anurag, from talking about your
Hmm.
mock strategies. You covered the sequencing, right? And even covered the most important thing that you need to spend time and
Yeah,
do the strategic review at the end of the day to actually
definitely.
understand what might be going wrong and why. If you do not do that, I think you are yourself taking away the chance to score that high.
Yes.
Right. So I think beautifully put out there. I think on that note, I would really like to take this opportunity to thank you again for doing this today with us, right? And on behalf of the entire EGMAT team, I wish you all the best for your applications and hopefully we'll hear back from you soon with a nice
Yeah.
admit. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ava. Thanks for the time and thanks for calling me. I think the next target is set. I'm going to apply for different B schools, the top B schools, very
Yes.
soon. So let's hope for the best.
Yes. Keeping our
Yeah,
fingers crossed. All the
yeah,
best, Anurag. All the
yeah.
best.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Ava.